Testing, testing. This is starting out as a test, and we want to check our sound. So usually when I record, I use headphones, but I want to say Kwe greetings. This time I'm not using headphones. I want to see what my sound quality is when I don't use headphones. And will you hear a video that I am mirroring? So let's try this. I'm having one of those moments where I would like to follow up on a video I did, but I emailed myself some slides. I happen to be at work, so I emailed them to myself, and they're like taking forever to come to my Yahoo mailbox or even my Outlook mailbox. So I'm delayed because I can't get my slides. I set them up, I made PDFs. So I'd rather use that than look for the website, even though I could look for the website. Little things that make you go, mother freaker, Well, we're just gonna try. So I figure let me do a test. Why stress myself right now? Let's see. I want to okay, where'd I go here? Where'd I go? Where am I? Okay, so now we can't find our Zoom. Okay, this is another thing that I have issue with sometimes. Like, where's my Zoom? Okay, so we're here. I'm gonna leave one more time. And let me see. Oh, okay. Okay, let me see. That's not gonna work. Okay, so that's not gonna work. Let's see. Got carried away. I went too far. Okay, so let's share the screen. I'm gonna go here. Share. Oh, and there we are. So this is the shot that I wanted to focus on. This video, as you see at the top, is called The Mongol Empire in America, right? I can't praise this man's work enough. Re-educated TV, and here I am using you again, sir. But I really appreciate you, especially coming from a West Indian brother. My maternal side is all West Indian, basically, with my grandmother and grandfather. So I'm very happy to see this come from a West Indian and have it be one of the biggest videos that I could use to make some points. Now, as you see, the name of this video again is The Mongol Empire in America. And this brother tells us that the Mongols, he just goes on a long, pretty much liturgy, or what do you call it, liturgy, of who the Mongols were. And as you can see, the Aztecs and the Incas are infiltrated Indians. We cannot rely on anything coming from the Aztecs and the Incas of Peru, okay? This brother made it a little bit simpler for us, okay? And the sad part is these two factions of Indians, they are really leading the list of Indians of America. They're looked at as the most ancient, right? But notice he doesn't say anything about the Maya. And like I said before, the Maya are going back far enough to where they're using hieroglyphs. Why are the Maya using hieroglyphs like the ancient Tamerians? Well, because they are a derivative of the Tamerians. We are a derivative of the Tamerians as indigenous. Obviously, we were infiltrated by the Mongols as early as the Aztecs and the Incas. So when you hear anything about these two cultures, just you got to let it go. And again, we use this picture as a perfect image to we should have known. We don't want to fuck with them if they're fucking with King Charles on the far right there in the bottom. We don't want to fuck with these Indians, right? They're already infiltrated. They're infected. They fucking got the cooties, the Rona, whatever you want to call it. They got it. And they're just, that whole panel of them, they're probably amalgamated. So again, you get these foreigners that intermingle, and the real Indians are out the window. And now it's all about this list of fools, this little what do you call it? Picture book of pickaninnies. They've been given all this grandiose by the fucking Mongols. So now they think they something, right? And now they're all against the people. That's usually what happens after this photo opportunity happens. These crown fools. This is what our indigenous did, even in North America, what we're calling North America. The ones sitting in Congress. That's them right there. That's what they look like. They've been given all the trimmings of they looking like a ghetto version of King Charles. You notice King Charles still looked like he just straight off the boat from Europe. These fools were given a baton and they didn't even take their fucking earrings off. You know, huge ass earrings, whatever the fuck those things are in their head. They got their little and they just now know that they gave up the religion. Most likely, these people are not going to be, usually part of the packages you civilized, right? These are the civilized. Look at them. So now you don't even practice your religion. And King Charles, of course, he will look that one on the far right on the bottom. He's coming at you with the Christianity or a version thereof, right? So these are our turncoats. Strong and wrong. Coming at you strong and wrong, right? And I want to make sure that I'm clear. You're going to go with the Mayas. And I don't even know if we can fully go with the Mayas. Why? Because we rationalize that we had foreigners in TaMeri. That's why you need TaMeri, y'all. You don't want to deal with it, but it's real life history. Not some fantasy that some Moors making up in space or under the sea. So that's why we're going with TaMeri. And what we know about TaMeri is they legendary for talking about the Hyksos. The first foreigners on an indigenous land were called Hyksos. What does that mean? Well, what we will find is that they were not what the 18th dynasty. The 18th dynasty is Akhenaten, the big heretic king who got his ass kicked out and then turned into the Moors. That's basically what's going on here. So the 18th dynasty is demonizing the Hyksos. Why are they demonizing the Hyksos? Well, they need some other group of people to say are the ones who got expelled. So how are you, the heretic king, Akhenaten, talking about Hyksos and saying that they got kicked out when your ass got kicked out? But that's the big mystery. You see, they've taken something that happened to them, the 18th dynasty pharaohs, and saying that it happened to a group of foreigners. You're using the foreigner. You're using the foreigner. Just like you use the quote unquote white man, okay? Just like you use anybody you will use against the American Indian. So you find a monster, a boogeyman, right? And you point the finger at the boogeyman when the biggest demon in the house is you. So there you have your accuser. They're accusing the Hyksos of things. And the what I read, if I don't have it lined up, this was actually a test video because I was going to see what my sound quality is like when I don't use headphones. Hopefully it won't be another one for the cutting room floor. A lot of videos that just I did not use for one reason or another. Either I'm looking crazy or I'm talking crazy, and I'm just ain't going out like that as much as possible. Yeah. Sometimes I don't get it. I don't say it right. Get carried away a little bit. Like when I said that the Maya are around the same time of the Sumerian. So technically, what we're being told is no, that the Maya are actually a little after. Like the Sumerians have their first kingdom circa 2900 BC. So that's kind of it's close to 3000 BC, but it's not 3400 BC when Tamerians are uniting two kingdoms. I wonder how you can have kingdom and not have writing. You know what I'm saying? See, here we go again, brothers and sisters. Here we go. Here we go. Now, when we go with Sumeria, they had writing before they had kingdom, right? That's what they're saying. But the same thing is with Egyptians. Now check it out. In other words, if you had two kingdoms, if y'all were high culture enough to have two kingdoms, what the going narrative is you already have writing. You have to have writing before you have kingdom, right? Tell me if this sounds crazy to you, but I'm using common sense on this one. And I'm using the example of Sumeria. They didn't have a king. In fact, they waited almost over, it's well over 1,000 years after their writing, from what I recall. I could be recalling that wrong, but close to 1,000 years, if not over 1,000 years, before they have their first kingdom, right? So when we're dealing with, here's what I'm trying to say. We're being told that TaMeri had two kingdoms before they had writing. If you can understand what I'm saying. The kingdoms were united 3150. 31, some are saying 3100, and some I see are saying 3150 BC. That's when the two kingdoms were united. My question is, how is TaMeri uniting kingdoms or having two kingdoms in 3400 BCE, but no writing? Yet Sumeria, it's like, again, nearly 1,000 years or more after their writing that they finally have what we're referring to as an empire. See, they're starting the empire talk. TaMeri, we really weren't doing empires. A real empire is connected to the Church of Rome when I think it was Augustus was the first emperor, and that happened in Rome. So when you use the word that the Moors made, you are falling in their jurisdiction. You're giving homage to their quote unquote empire when you use the term empire, because the first empire was a Holy Roman one. You don't want to use them terms. They get a rise when you do that, because it makes them look older than they are when you're calling yourself an empire before the Roman Empire existed. So it gives the illusion that Rome was running shit when they weren't. So I want to focus back with these Maya, because what we're going to say here, or what we're going to propose, is that they were also not. How about this? There was mixing going on before the Maya, because we have the Hyksos. So when you're getting these different names like Maya and Aztec and Inca, I think that's when you're breaking away from TaMeri. You're creating new entities, but you're avoiding TaMeri because, of course, Americans are Negro Americans are not supposed to think they have anything to do with TaMeri, which is known as Egypt. Even in Africa, so this is another huge clue. They want to say we're from Africa, but notice you got to catch the hijacks. Even when they put us in Africa, they don't want us to be associated with the Egypt in that Africa either. Now, that's the second one, so we don't have anything to do with that one anyway. But notice, you've got to see, why are they separating us from TaMeri, and why are they separating us from Egypt? Even the one in Africa, that is your clue to let you know how very important it is for the establishment to not have you Negroes running around thinking that you were the first people as far back as ancient Egypt. They're going to do every psyop they can to take you away from that legacy. That's why that's the one I am running to. Now, I'm not saying you got to do as I do. I'm letting you see that we need to own it. We don't have to practice it. We need to own it. But I'm just going to go a little bit with why the psyop makes Indians so reluctant to own TaMeri. Because it's been demonized. That's why. And I hate to come for the Abrahamic faith. I do. If you notice, I don't talk about Caucasian Hebrews. Why don't I talk about Caucasian Hebrews? Because I know that they're not the source problem. I know that there's a source before them. When you go to make a complaint, you don't go to the hired help. You go to the CEO. You go to the top dogs. The Moors, as much as I hate to even utter those words, they are the top dogs for all the other nations outside of TaMeri. Why? Because TaMeri, you know what I always say, kick that ass out of America. Okay, so no, this is not, it has nothing to do with Caucasian Hebrews. We're now finding out that the Hyksos were not these horrible people that were being told. But they're being used, again, just like the Caucasian Hebrew. Used for someone else's narrative. Whose narrative? The Black Moors, okay? The Black African Moors. This is your architect. All the other races are just characters in a play that was written by The Moors. Want to know why I don't fuck with them? Figure that out. You got to know your enemy, and I don't care if he looks just like you. You better still know him. We got these juvenile indigenous who talking about let's unite. We wouldn't be divided if it wasn't for these fucking Moors. Get over it. Move on. Because the only thing holding you back is a Moor. Ain't these white people. It ain't no Asian people. Ain't no Spanish people. Ain't no, what do you call it? East Asian people. I'm not going to be calling y'all Indians no more, because that was just meant to divert from who the real Indians were. But most of y'all know you were from Bharat. Anyway, so don't dishonor your ancestors for a freaking psyop. You ain't Indians, you're Bharatans, Hindustanians. And nobody blaming you, just telling you to take your real role, take your real identity. Being Indians for the British Empire or the Holy Roman Empire, both the same. That's still the Moors. People want to talk about it as a descriptive term. Like I said, describing some bullshit. Yes. And we thank Candy Burris for that little bit of a talking point. That was the funniest thing I've heard her say. I said what I said, yeah. And what you said was some bullshit. Oh, man. But not what I'm saying. Let's not get it twisted. So I want us to look, okay, because I know you couldn't hear it, and I'm beside myself with the little circumstantial stuff. Sound quality that's just fucked all the way up. But that's what the test was today. But please see that. Please, let me see if I could even I think I already did take a screenshot, but I don't even know what to do after I take a screenshot. When you don't have Word, I don't have Word on this computer. So I take a screenshot and the shit I don't even know where to put it. In an email, maybe, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so this was a test to see if we can hear what the brother's saying when I don't use headphones. I doubt it, because this computer, it just refuses to have sound. It just refuses. This laptop I'm using, it is a factory refurbished, because I have my other Chromebooks, but I wanted at least one Microsoft, or Word or whatever you call it, laptop. And so I decided, no, I'm not going to spend a lot of money. But boy, now I see why I should have. And I might still have. I can't do this sound quality shit. It's just messing me up all the way. So please read this, what the brother's saying. The Mongol Empire in America. They were, and I want to say this, they were the Tupacs of the Aztecs, the Incas of Peru. Yes, brother. West Indian brother. Tell it. He laid it out. Let's see if we can let's just see. No, I'm not going to go all the way back. This was supposed to be a test. I'm not going to put you through this. I could, because we have the closed captions. But we already did this, so we just wanted a sound quality check.
Mongols of India. They were the Shahs of Afghanistan, the Chagatai Khanate, the shogunates of Japan, the Mamelukes of Egypt, and
You know what, people? I have a feeling that this might be better sound, so bear with me. I'm going to go to the beginning of the video. Please don't be mad. I know my sound has been crappy. I tried to turn it up as loud as I could. I have a freaking factory refurbished computer. I apologize profusely. I bow down in mercy. Could you just let's just try this, okay? Let's just try this, okay? Let's see what we got with this sound. And I'm not gonna go the whole video.
welcome to Re-Educated TV, where we keep you informed. The Mongols conquered all of Asia, including Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Yes, Europe and parts of what we know as Africa is actually Asia, which was divided into territories by the Mongol Empire and previous powers. The Mongols were a very diverse and adaptive people and would stop at nothing to obtain absolute rule.
So
The Mongols
we're gonna have to try this again because I didn't say fair use. Fair use. And I notice when you don't say that, you have no sound. Okay, so let's try this again. Sorry, I apologize profusely. I'm on, my knees and all that stuff. Forgive me, forgive me. So okay, fair use. Let's try this again. YouTube, okay, fair use. So you might not even see none of that. Okay, fair use, fair use. Hopefully, now that I say fair use profusely. Let's try to get. I have a feeling that the sound is going to be better. It's just that with the headphones, it's you don't have any no echo. The voice is going right in. But I think when I'm using like mirroring, I think you'll hear it better if I don't use the headphones. So okay, this time I will say fair use. Fair use.
To Re-Educated TV,
yes,
where we keep you informed.
Thank you.
The Mongols conquered all of Asia, including Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Yes, Europe and parts of what we know as Africa is actually Asia, which was divided into territories by the Mongol Empire and previous powers. The Mongols were a very diverse and adaptive people and would stop at nothing to obtain absolute rule. The Mongols bear many names and titles and can be easily misunderstood or misplaced due to the fact that some people only associate the Mongols with China. Now, the Mongols, who were Moors from northwest Africa, were the Tatars of Tartary or Tartaria, the barbarians of Barbary, the Berbers of Berbery, the Tsars of Russia, the Mongols of Mongolia. They were the Khans, the Sultans, the Dalai Lamas of Tibet. They were the Mansas, like Mansa Musa. Mansa was a title. They were the crown princes and princesses, the Turkish dukes, the Manchus of Manchuria, the Qing dynasty of China. They were the Mughals of India. They were the Shahs of Afghanistan, the Chagatai Khanate, the shogunates of Japan, the Mamelukes of Egypt and Syria. In Mexico, they were the Capacs and Tupacs of the Aztecs, the Incas of Peru. They conquered Colombia, Mississippi, California, Canada.
I just can't. I really want us to absorb that. I'm so sorry. I have to stop. He's on our territory now. And I'm trying to tell you, we no more talk about the Incas. Let it go. Let it go. They did not build Peru. That they did not build the citadel, that city known as Machu Picchu today, but was Jerusalem, or the city of Heru of the past. Now, I think people get excited because I call it Jerusalem. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not the original name. And the original name, well, you know what my name is, the name that I use, right? Heru, right? That's the deity. That's a Tamerian deity. So what I'm saying when I focus and I stress Jerusalem, what I'm hoping listeners will understand is that I'm talking about a Tamerian deity, a very significant Tamerian deity that has a city named after him here. And why would that? Why would an ancient Egyptian deity of the highest order be the namesake of a city in the Americas? They don't even have that in Africa, as far as I know. Egypt is not an indigenous term for that landmass. That's what the Greeks called it. That's why they called it Egypt. Here it was TaMeri, what we called it. So Jerusalem, it's not a nod to the Abrahamic faith. I have to say this for my indigenous with no disrespect to, again, people of the Abrahamic faith. The Caucasian Hebrews have every right to have their faith. They really do. It is the one that they were reared up in. But what the Moors are doing, again, I said this before, they're being duplicative, or is that the right word? Duplicative, uh, dubious, because they're you giving people cultures that you gave to someone else already, and you know it's going to cause fighting. You know this. So that's how the Moors, quote unquote, conquer, from ass kissing and dubious dealing. Oh, and then also dumping their amalgamated people on a landmass that they're looking to take over. You know, the people that they say they fostered into the world through, I think a better term is selective breeding. You know, we want to respect these people because they didn't do anything to deserve disrespect. I'm talking about Caucasians. I'm talking about Indians. Well, we're going to call you Baratans. Done went back on my word already. Asians. How, it's hard for them because they're dealing with their father, y'all. They ain't coming after us because they want to. They're coming after us as much as they do, or if they do, because they're daddy, baby. That's the baby daddy doing this, doing too much, and then want to skin and grin in our face talking about we the same. After you done become every other nation, we are not the same. If you go with the prodigal son, the Moor is the one that went all out there spreading the family jewels all around town, and then want to come back home talking about, well, I'm done now. You know, I'm ready to come back home. No, you ain't ready. Not until you clean up them lies, you ain't ready. How about this for the Moors? Y'all say we won and all of that. We a family, like the Sister Sledge. We are family. Okay, nigga. Go out there and tell the world what the fuck you did. Yes, I'm using profanity and I apologize. These Moors make you have to curse because they are a curse to us. Yes. So if you want to be our family again, and you want your brother back, you better start rewriting them history books, boo. You better start telling the truth, boo. Tell the world that we kicked your ass out. You went and started fostering all these different races, hoping that you could come back and keep us fools forever. King James thought that America is a possession of his forever. No, it's not, King James. You better take your stank ass back to Scotland, you and your little vermin offspring too. You might have been indigenous, but once you made that break and lied on your own alleged family, whatever, you can't come back with your lies. You got to come correct. What does that mean? That means you tell all your representatives in Congress to step the fuck off. Get out the way. The indigenous want their home back. Honestly, and I'm just going to try to say this best I can. I don't know what use they are to us at this point. I've been trying to, as I said before, think of how they would fit in. All they're going to do is hinder our trade. That's all they're going to do. We should have never made them in charge of international trade in the first place. All they want to do is control your goods and your resources by making them commerce kings, or whatever we want to call it, the ones who oversee commerce. They see that in a different way. We thought you protect us on the high seas. That's what we were thinking. What they're thinking is, oh no, we're going to watch everything that goes in and comes out. We're going to tax it. We're going to hinder it. We're going to have to go through our little codes and regulations. You're hindering us. That's what you're doing. So how does a corporation get to stay? Be honest with you, even the foreigners don't want them. The only way I could say that they could really stay in business as they are is if they served the foreigner. Now, they're not supposed to be dealing with us at all. You know, I believe what it was about arms over borders, drugs over borders, and alcohol over borders. That's what they were supposed to be monitoring, if I remember correctly. And it does sound correct. I do. And I learned this from American State Nationals, y'all. If you want to know where I get this information, I'm getting so much information from the State Nationals. That's why I was rolling with them. It really was, because where the indigenous want to get on panels and argue, debate futile topics. The nationals they're dealing with how are we going to get sovereign, or how are we going to how we need to approach this these laws, these regulations, these statutes. How are we going to get our shit where we are what do you call it, discharging our debt. They talking serious shit. Yet you tune into the run-of-the-mill indigenous. What we doing? Fighting with freaking Moors, being slowed up by Moors, trying to coddle Moors. They are slowing us up again. I'm telling you right now, because I listen to the foreigners. I listen to the state nationals. They are talking real shit, y'all. And I feel like I'm not going to even. We need to get on the ball already. The time is just being wasted. You got to figure out how your children are going to be sovereign, or you're going to let them be slaves like we are, or we are still trying to be. These state nationals, they are getting it in. And it's like, I wish that we could learn from them. The white people don't play, y'all. I'm telling y'all now, and you know they don't. So while we chide each other and get talking about you can't be a state national, blah, 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 but you're not teaching. The state nationals are teaching. We're just fighting. Again, who's making us fight with each other? The same nigga that went out and told the world that you were the new people on the block, the savages, that the church needed to civilize. We really need to talk sovereignty. We cannot be talking about, oh, the federal code said this, the federal code. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Those don't apply to us. And as we keep talking them up and acting like they do, the government's going to be just fine to have us be their slaves. We got to talk about the laws we're going to make and how we don't bow to a foreign entity on the land and talk about how we got to stay within their code. Are you kidding me? We can't learn their laws and be free. You can learn, listen to all you indigenous that are quoting civil code. Now, I'm quoting Constitution. Yes, I am. You know why? Because everything was supposed to be built on that. And these codes are not built on the Constitution. There wouldn't be United States citizens if the commercial code was in line with the Constitution. Why? Because the Constitution says we are sovereign. Why do we have a Revolutionary War only to be slaves to commercial code? This is what indigenous need to be talking about. Because if we're not doing that, each day our slavery is extended to your children, your grandchildren. This is not a joke. We got to understand we are not under federal law. We are not under federal code. We are not under, forget about civil. That is an invention of commerce. Do you realize that when they created the 14th Amendment, that's when they created civil rights, basically? So it's a whole new set of laws that have nothing to do with the Constitution. But once they snuck those amendments in through a reconstruction that the people were not part of, because that's what I learned from the state nationals, that the reconstruction was supposed to be us fulfilling our assemblies in each state. That's what the state nationals are doing. But the government did that for us when they weren't supposed to. And when they did that, that's when they came up with these damn emancipation, what do you call it? I'm sorry, Reconstruction amendments that had a lot to do with emancipation laws. Emancipation laws, it just blows me away when you look and see what emancipation law is really about. It's not talking about adults, it's talking about children, minors. That's who they were emancipating off of your farms, indigenous. Your own children were being emancipated from you, invited to move up north and be slaves for, what was that? So the Confederate South was about farmers trying to be independent of what basically the Democrats were doing, which was taking your land from you in order for you to join the Democratic Party. they're both at this point not operating under the Constitution, the Republicans or the Democrats or any other. It's all a ruse. We have to find our way back to the Constitution. So what I was saying is quoting federal code or civil code is not the same as quoting Constitution. So don't get it twisted. One is for slaves and one is for sovereign people. The Constitution was created after we broke away from Britain. Well, the Declaration of Independence, which led to that Constitution to tell them how they will operate on our land from now on. You can, at that point, we needed someone to protect us on the high seas because what? The Moors, right? Pirating. That's what we were being protected from, the fucking Moors. Those were the pirates of the sea, okay? But how can you ask your enemy to be your protector? It's how is the pirate going to be the one who protects you on the sea? I mean, it's possible, but not in this case. As we see what happened. What they did was press gang our asses. That's called press ganging when you bring a sea jurisdiction to the land. Inland piracy, press ganging, has to do with bringing the sea jurisdiction to the land through the civil code or the federal code. It's supposed to be Constitution code, if anything. And it don't need to be a code. So once they bring that onto the land, now they took you out of the Constitution. You see that Admiralty flag in every court. That's telling you this is Admiralty, maritime. We're practicing maritime. That flag should not be in a court of equity or a constitutional court. That's a maritime court. The court is actually set up like a damn ship. When you go past those, what's that little gate, that little wooden gate? That's like going onto a ship, basically. I don't know all the words, and you know what I'm not trying to really know them words. It's all reference to ships and the sea, birth. When the birth is when a ship brings in cargo or something like that, and then that's what they make a woman who is what's the natural term for birth? Oh my God, this is what I mean with the words. So birth has to do with cargo, docking and all that shit. And that's what they call us when we're being delivered with cargo. Delivered. Being born, that's the word, born. Bear, she's bearing a child. She's not giving birth. I didn't even have my slides, but I wanted to show, what was I going to show? Because my slides refused to email to me. I emailed them yesterday and I just did it again today. So I don't know what happened to the ones yesterday. I'm looking in my spam. I don't see it there. It's just shit that don't make no sense. That's all. I mean, I did email them from my job, which I've done several times in the past, but it was after hours, and it was nothing, scandalous. It was like porn or some shit. So I don't see why it's taking so long for this thing to come to my email. I see that it was sent. I see it in my sent box. And I did send it to the right email. And again, it's nothing that would not be able to be sent, So yeah, I would like to do my video when my slides come. Or I'm just gonna have to look them up again and make them into PDFs again, Uh, it's only 23 minutes, and I know I already did this video that this would be a second time that I'm mirroring it. This is how important this video is that we're watching, the Mongol Empire in America. I'm just so happy this West Indian brother gave me this. I'm just beside myself. This is exactly this is my message capsulated in 23 minutes. Yes, I know I'm long-winded. 23 minutes, he done told you what the Moors are. And still some of our people is dying to be Moors. You got to figure out that why, like, is even in scripture, are they talking about brothers that hate each other, brothers that kill each other? That's not interracial, y'all. There's a message that's being missed. And it's a very, very crucial message. Cain killed Abel in that story, in that book, because he was jealous. He thought that God favored him. That's exactly what this is. So a book like that, it justifies murder of the good guy. And again, I don't mean to be offensive to those who believe that story. It's just that you must understand one book can have two different meanings if you're two different people, you know? And who's to say that, you know, with the way the Moors operate, they mix and match people. You know, they assign people religions and deities. As I said before, we see the game in that where we read, I think we read it in one of my slides, the European slave dragons. They are their mission or their agenda given to them by the Moors is they are dragon slayers. What do you think going to happen when they reach the Americas and find out something about an Amaru or a Kublai Khan and a Quetzalcoatl? They're being set up to hate us, y'all. This is what the Moors did. Now, the Asians, they are, well, the Mongols, right? So the Mongols were given these dragons. So I hate to tell y'all Mongols that the Moors was coming for you. They brought you here, and then when they got the finished product, which was the white man, they were fitting to get rid of all of us and just have the Jesus, the one son, the one white son. Why is it because they love white people that they want white people to be the premier people? No, we know that because all these psyops, they didn't care if you got the jab or, you know, or if you were in a tower or whatever, you know, you just, you know, what do you call it? What do you call it? Collateral damage. They missed the potato in y'all. And I say that respectfully. I made you, you know it's true. Mr. Potato Head, I made you. But they trying to do that to everybody. So it ain't just you. But that's why they can't stand America. Indigenous, this is why they can't stand you. They didn't make you. They didn't interfere. They're trying to fuck with your bloodline. Why would they send Mongolians over here for a Mongoloid gene in your gene pool, boo? Why would they do that to you? Again, this is not disrespecting the other races. We've all been, in some way, shape, or form, victimized. I'm not saying we're victims, but we've been victimized by these Moors. Because all they're interested in is ruling something, anything. Preferably people, but we'll do whatever that's how much we love power. Y'all don't understand what the Moors are, or you don't understand the energy, the spirit that has taken the soul of those who call themselves Moors. You don't, if you know anything about malevolent spirit, you would know what they are. This is an entity that cares nothing about individuals or individuality. It doesn't care. Now, it will go around and selectively breed different races of people. But that's a war tactic. It's not that I love, therefore I create. It's I hate and I create and I destroy with that creation. And I hide because I'm a coward. They are, if we go with the most ancient deities, the Moors are convicted like fuck knows what. That's why they don't want to go back to the original system. The original systems called out the Moors for what they were, for who they are. They called it sect. I say this 1,000 times, but I don't mind. I don't mind. It's the truth. Well, that's one thing that your Bible says. The truth makes you free. It's the truth, y'all. If you go back to TaMeri, you're going to get a lot of information you need to know who these Moors are. You got to go back to the origin, baby. I'm sorry. You saw the movie Roots, what they call it, Roots. You got to go back to your real roots, but not that fake shit. You got to go back to the roots. What is TaMeri? What is TaMeri? That's the roots. That's the roots of our people. Yes, it is. It's even the roots of the Moors. It's just that they're the bad seed. Now, this is not saying that they were innately bad. No, that's not at all. This is a choice based on greed. It can make you innately act very badly. Because they are obsessed with royalty and being nobility, we should know that nobility has a lot to do with their gripe. Nobility, in the case of the Moors, and in the case of the book that they give us called their Bible and their Quran that we read in Yaqub, Father of Mankind, that they wrote the Bible and the Quran. They are so ass backwards that they're going to brag in their little writings about how they control everything. But why do you need to control everything? Why do you have to control everything? Well, because you're hiding the truth. So again, even in their books, they're talking about a brother that gets a legacy that's not his. He's taking the birthright of his older brother. Who's the who older? Indigenous? Can someone stand up, please? Are you the oldest? Do you know what that means? Do you know that you have to go with the oldest civilization to know who's the oldest civilization and the oldest people before you claim that position? Do you figure that out? Is that not common sense enough? Mm-hmm. And I'm saying we can't even start with the Maya, although they are pretty far back there. They're conflicting with Samaria. They're coming at a time when Samaria is on the scene. So you're going to have some dubious shit going on. So we want to go back to when there was no intermixing species, no selectively bred people bred to be your enemy. We got to go back to TaMeri. That's where there's no infiltration. That's where the Moors were born. You know, they were born of that legacy, but it was one where they were not top dog in it. And then they decided to be, so they became the friend of, say, a foreigner, right? They like the foreigner because they are one step above the foreigner, but one step below the original people that would be the indigenous. So they decided, I'll make friends with the foreigner. And the funny thing about the deity Set, he's called a deity of the foreigner. Set would be the deity of the Asiatic, because that is what, and I forgive me for those who might be offended, but everything that is created by the Moor is called Asian. And I had to get real with that, whether it's Caucasian, Asian, or East Asian. Because again, we learned that those who we're calling loosely the Arabs were Asian. They are basically, that's their phenotype, is called Asian, or their stock or whatever, their ethnic group or whatever you want to call it, is Asian. And I remember seeing that and feeling so, it's like, wow, but it never dawned on me. That's how we know, that's how you differentiate indigenous from people who were fostered by the Moors. They call them Asian, all of them. And I'm, again, no disrespect to people who we are pointing the finger at who is to blame. And that's not any of the Asians, actually. It's the one who created this whole paradigm, this whole element, So that's why you don't want to be an Asiatic black man, because that means you're some kind of amalgamated black man, quote unquote. You don't want to be black, period. But I'm just saying that's your favorite term, Asiatic black man or whatever. Both of them are serious misnomers for you. Now, for those who are Asians, that's just what you are, and there's nothing wrong with being that. It's just that we got to line our ducks up, and we're not going to say that everybody is the same, because they're not. This is why there's different land masses. This is why some of us are called American and some of us are called African. But the Moors they want to meld everything, but after the melding, what's going to happen? They're going to stand up and want to rule and make slaves. That's the other thing. Slaves. Slaves, yes. So if they are nobility in their mind, of course they need slaves. And if it means making a money system that makes the world enslaved, well, the Moors are going to go ahead and do it. They're going to find some white people to blame it on. But they're the ones that came to the white people with the plan to do it. In some way, shape, or form, it's a Moor that's behind all of this. And it's not that far-fetched. They're the next oldest people on Earth next to us. That's why they know so much. But they know so much because they denied the American, Indian, a lot of this history. Because the idea was that we were supposed to be the new kids on the block that didn't know shit. They were the smart Negroes, okay? The bourgeois, okay? The bougie, right? They were supposed to be, so at the cost of the American Indian. Some people think, they still, again, when I say we're juvenile, think like, oh, let's be a happy family. We all black, right? All skin folk ain't kinfolk. That's a very real thing you need to get acquainted with. Because if you go around thinking that it because somebody looks like you, they're going to just wrap their arms around you and welcome you into their home. And oh, we ace boon coon, you my dude, you my whatever y'all call each other these days, bitches and all that. No, 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 no. Y'all know better. You know better. Why the hell are you being so stupid when it comes to these Moors? The worst enemy you will ever find. Call it what it is. People that smile in your face. What do you think a backstabber is? Smile in your face and want to take your place. That's oh gosh. If that ain't a Moor song about Moors, I don't know what the hell is. Yet again, a lot of these Moors ain't even real Moors. These are indigenous brothers looking for an identity. And getting hijacked by the Moors. Throwing all of this greatness in front of you and you eating it up like you ain't never had a plate of food before. That's what I was. Oh my God, that's what I was. That's what I. And the funny thing is, these are people, a lot of them that are still very religified. You don't know a fucking Satan when you see one. You got all this religion that you barely gave up. Especially if you a freaking Moor and you into that Islam. You ain't gave none of that religion up. And yet you don't see what a Satan is when it's looking you in the fucking face. That's when you've just been too indoctrinated. Want to talk about everybody is a Moor. No, in your world, everybody's a Moor, but not the American Indian. You didn't make us. You didn't make us. So that's why we're not like everybody. Again, that's not a diss to other people. It's just telling the truth. You want to know why so-called Negroes are treated like shit in America? I just gave you the reason why. Get real with that. It's not because we're inferior. This is systematic. This is systemic. This is a system of government created by the Moors, especially to come for indigenous. This is a system that seeks to make sure that some, like Martin Luther King said, they got an under cushion of, money, wealth that makes sure that you can survive the tide. The thing is, we still surviving the tide too. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. The only way the Moors gonna get your freaking indoctrinated heads out of this life is if you keep following their doctrine. That's how you go. That's the only way they can get you, by getting at your mind. And I have to say, they've done an excellent job up to now. Up to now, they've done an excellent job of controlling the mind. That's the only way they're going to get rid of you, because you're given. Look at it. Look at the Bible you're given. Look at the book. What they say about you. You're the sinner that the only sinner that God punishes is you, American Indians, if you know what the scripture is really saying. Everybody could be having a sin festival, but your American Indian ass is the only one that's going to pay for that. Pay for it because God only chastises those he loves. So God don't love people, Moors? He don't love the people you brought here? Oh, you're their God, right? Oh, wait, right. Huh. And you don't give a shit about them. You're only using them. You don't really care about them. I think you just like chasing them around the coffee table. But there's no love there when the entity itself is so full of deceit. So it's not that you're unlovable. It's that ain't no love in the hearts of someone who's looking to take what you have. How can they love you? They love what you have, your position. Again, the scripture is talking about a brother. So that's the Moors telling you why they do what they do. But they made it that it's a justifiable thing. It's justified for a brother to steal his brother's birthright after he gave it to him. But then he got to go back and steal it. What sense that makes? Then you want to condemn him for giving it, but the person that stole it don't get no condemnation. The one who gave it freely as a god or as a full sound mind and a righteous mind, he's condemned and hated by God. But the one who stole it, oh no, he's good. Oh, he's great. He's the one. And then indigenous wonder why everything goes so fucked up for you. Just for you. You're siding with the one who oppressing you. That's why. You're doing half the job for him. Again, this is nothing against Caucasian Hebrews. There's ways to interpret that scripture that it kind of, I don't know what to say, but I'm just saying when it comes to the American Indian, we have to recognize that we're the only ones. We're the whooping boy. So put it to you this way. Now, again, apologies ahead of time, but it's looking like this to me. So you got a book talking about a chosen people. But when that chosen people get chastised, that's when the whooping boy is brought in. When that chosen people do wrong, that's when the whooping boy is made guilty. So that is what is going on here. I have to take a call. Hello? Okay, I missed that call. Okay. So I think I said a lot what I want to say. Again, that whooping boy situation is not the doing of Caucasian Hebrews. It's a setup of the Moors. They practically describe our asses in the Bible, but how come we're not the ones who are getting that recognition in the world? Because it wasn't meant for us to get. They gave it to who they wanted to have it, and that's the Caucasian Jew. Or the, so this is not anti-Semitic. It's anti-Moor. That's what it is. Anti-Moorish doctrine. Because that's the architect. Okay? It's not the ones that he set up in their respective positions. That's not who's to blame. That is why we have to, as indigenous, if you dream of setting yourself free, you're going to have to look at the ones who got you in the position you are in. And I'm telling you, it wasn't any white man. Now, you could make the Moors very happy by continuously blaming the white man, but it's a futile thing. The white man is not really going anywhere as long as there's Moors on earth. You can best believe that shit. You can best believe that shit. And again, no disrespect to whites or Caucasians listening. But to the indigenous, haven't you seen how Caucasians have evolved now? You know? I'm just gonna leave it like that. This is not a diss to them, but I want indigenous to see the changes, the physical change. Not all of it is done under a knife. Not all of it. Some of it is quite natural. I'm going to go out on a limb here and bear with me. I just want to make a bit of just to paint a picture that I think we need to look at. Who's being, what's the word? How shall we say? Who's being abducted the most in this world? If we want to go with an alien theory, who are the main people that need abduction? And the people in space ain't looking for the Negroes, which is quite interesting because that would be where you're going to get, that genetic makeup that you might want to use. You might. I'm not saying it's not about being better. I'm just saying I'm going with what is known. Okay. Well, why would aliens want to abduct, let's just say, a more recessive makeup? Are they upgrading it? Is that what's going on? I just want to show you how all of this kind of converges with the whole alien abduction theory. I always wondered why, why are they abducted? I've never seen or heard of black people being abducted, or quote unquote black people, And then it dawned on me. Somebody is getting a helping hand, shall we say. And then you have a one man, check this out, a very old, and you ask yourself, why would this old white man lie? He's at an age now, it's not about lies like that. But he said he saw these tall black aliens. I wish I could find that video, but I think they took that shit down. I looked for it. And it had something to do with the rings of Saturn or something. It had, of course, it would have Saturn, right? Saturn. Saturn is it's the planet basically seen as Set's planet. Saturn. So each of the heavenly bodies basically have a deity. When you see the CBS logo and stuff like that, it's either Saturn, Set, that deity, that celestial deity, because Set is a deity. That's the ironic thing. So yes, a lot of times I think people think that the eye is representative of, like, I kind of thought it was Amen or Ra, but Ra, the truth is between, well, in the myth, Heru does get his eye taken out, but Ra loses his eye as well. Okay, so there is instances where, yes, okay, so yeah, I thought there was no eye reference, but there are in the ancient Tamerian story. See, it's so helpful to have that Tamerian original story because it helps you to see it's the grounding, it's the roots, So, but okay, what I'm trying to say is that Saturn can sometimes be seen as an eye symbol, but it's when it's actually a Saturn symbol. So, like the Moors like to use one word for many things, like the word Moor, we can say that that's what might be going on with the eye symbol. It could be an eye, it could be the rings of Saturn, right? The more I think about it, it's more likely that it's the rings of Saturn, because what they're doing, everything they're doing is set It's the deity is Set. Ra wouldn't be doing this, but they would need to use Ra because he's the benevolent deity, the good deity, as well as Heru. He's a hero deity, a good deity. Set, on the other hand, is the one that you want to kind of insert him on the down low and not let people know that he's a malevolent deity, a storm god. We saw that Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, Amaru, they're said to be one, but the deity, what they represent is storm, rain, thunder, or lightning, I think it was. He's a storm. That's what Set was. Now, if we go back to TaMeri, we will be able to recognize Set in every machination. He is a storm, war, chaos deity. So when you see that eye, you cannot be too sure that they're not the rings of Saturn. And I say it like that because I want to make sure you know I'm talking about the planet Saturn. You know, Saturn. Maybe I should just say Saturn, but Saturn. Okay. So there is another. See, the Moors need very loosely. Now in law, they try to be specific, but then for the mind game among the masses, you need very manipulatable words like Moor itself. That means so many things, right? Because the Moors are so many things, you know. They are trying to be everything to everybody. That's how you take their land and their identity and everything they own, which is what the system is doing. Now, what I learned from the state national, the ones who are really trying to be free, um, what was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. Is, ooh, maybe it'll come back. So I was talking about, now I lost my train of thought. The many words, right? More words like and symbols as well. So you have the eye, which could also be the rings of Saturn, like CBS sort of. So, and the indigenous, what was I saying about the indigenous? That I'm trying to show that they're trying to be free. Where, you know, they're really going in. Forgot what I was saying. Okay, so I'll just have to let it go for now. But I've learned a lot from them about what was it I was gonna say? Okay, maybe they'll come back. But yeah, and when I'll watch the video, and then I'll remember as I'm watching it when I go to rewatch it. So what I'll have to do is write it, look for it in the description box, which is usually the same thing I use for the comments. But they are very good with sovereignty and in terms of knowing how to get out of the system, knowing that there's ways to that you don't even have to appear in court. You say you're incompetent, you know, and that means you're. And she says it's not saying that you, but when it comes to their shit, yes, you are, because that's all convoluted. So you are incompetent, and you are, you know, not able to, you know, comprehend the double talk. Again, the language, you know. And I was talking about Set, right? Set, how to recognize if we go to TaMeri, how to recognize Set. how important it is to go back to that legacy so you'll know the myth and you'll know the story of Heru and what was his struggle. What was he fighting for? He was fighting for his birthright. I say it a lot, but I really don't mind repeating it. That is, I had to learn what Heru stood for. For years I didn't bother with him. I knew of him, but I didn't see his significance. But see, I was to grow into learning about him. As he was supposed to, he's more like the crowning glory to show, yes, there is a deity for you. He's right, he's done what you need to do, which is get your birthright back. And through that energy, you can and you will. It's done. You just got to tap into that energy. So I think I was talking about the planetary system, that each one, has a deity. And the one for Set is Saturn. So I did talk about that, the old white dude. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but I was trying to show how interesting the whole phenomena of abduction is. And then you have a white man that says he saw these beings that were very black. Now, I'm not saying I believe in aliens. I certainly do not. I certainly do not. I know what the Earth is, what the Earth shape is. Like a few of our indigenous are coming into that knowledge, thankfully, and I'm very grateful for that, because that is important. That's a very important part as well. You can't be indigenous and not know the land or the cosmos. So if you're falling for the Moors, you're gonna think you're on a globe, right? They want you to be on a globe. They know what we're on, but see, that's just all a way of controlling the masses. So I don't believe in alien abduction, but I would believe more in, what do I say? Abduction. How about that? I don't know who's taking you, but I know they're going to make it look like if you were abducted by, I know they can make, and we know that technology, we're not, we're not being given the latest in technology, are we? So it's very plausible that there are what one would call spacecraft that come out certain places, areas where white people are populated. Now, they're not going to do it in a Negro neighborhood because they ain't trying to come for your ass like that. You don't, then you're not getting upgrade. Now, if think about it, and if they're saying an alien is usually very technological and advanced, right? So the idea is they're not interested in Negroes because they want the premier people, So there's a whole narrative, if you really examine it, that's being, because it surrounds around, it centers to me around the fact that you never hear about Negroes being abducted. It's always Caucasians, and I watch, maybe some Spanish. I saw a documentary when it was Spanish. I think they might throw in a person of color, but it's very rare, very rare. And we do know that what our brothers and sisters will do for money, right? They will get on that TV and read you whatever the teleprompter says to read you for money, right? So it's not beyond our people to do it. I just think that they know. I think the Moors have a clue that we're really. I don't think I just don't know that a great many of us really actually believe in aliens. Some of us do, but I don't think we get into it as much. But we're not the ones being abducted. So of course we wouldn't as much as someone, as a people who have experienced abduction, you know. Who knows how it's done? Something could be sprayed in the air and make it all very LCD or I'm sorry, I don't even know how to say it. LSD type of trip. Something in the air drugs you up. Then when you thinking you being taken by aliens and you just being abducted, period. Something that can fly fast or whatever, take you to Arizona and you think you're on another planet, or don't even take you another. You're in a spaceship and they probing you and, you know, playing with you, and it has something to do with reproduction. So what is that saying? Something wants to reproduce with you. Something that wants to appear alien. Because it's always about reproduction, you know. It's always about procreation, right? If that don't got more written all over it, I don't know what does. They're the ones that fostered other races, so they deal only with other races. Technically, see, the way the Moors think, we gotta get this. If they touch it, they presume themselves to be the god of it, okay? That's why they can't do a lot of that with a lot of our people. Again, we did not originate from the Moors, you see? We have a same origin. But when they go fucking with genetics in their world, and I think somewhere, maybe even there might be some law of something where, yes, if you make it, it's yours. It's like art. I think I said this before, when an artist makes a painting, that's exclusively his. The Moors, their art is very unappealing for humanity, but they do their art. What is their art? It's creating the illusion of separatism so that they can land grab and identity theft. So they have to put their hand on it so that before the foundations of creation and earth and the deities, they have an authority over it. So they can basically do whatever in their minds, they can do whatever they want to with something that is theirs. The reason why they keep trying to get at us, coming at us all kinds of sideways, they can't do it physically, so they do it commercially with the commercial code and the money system. And I think, you know, of course they're trying it with food, but I guess they've been doing that forever. But I think, you know, that right now the stakes are really high. The indigenous are waking up, so they got their dude. I'll say Gates of Hell, his last name, Gates of Hell. I just added the last two parts. Who's buying up a lot of our indigenous land? What do you think he's gonna do with that? Grow organic strawberries? No, no, no. And I think this is the kind of thing that indigenous, instead of fighting with each other, we need to talk about stuff like that. Who's buying up our land and what are they doing it? What are they doing with it? And is that rightfully their land is the land something that they are rightful to have ownership over? Is it not our land that should be routed back to us, that's being sold to billionaires so that they can proceed to make basically poisonous food or inferior genetically modified food? See, that's how they figure, if I can get something of mine in even the Negro's body, I can kind of claim him, right, God? Like the Moor is begging his God set. How can I take ownership so I can fuck with them? How can I have some kind of dominion over them so I can do what I want? But you can't, because we didn't come from you, Moors. And you might be sealing your own destruction. You're coming for us so bad, maybe that's going to come on you, because we're from the same source. what you do to us might just come back on your ass. But they'll always be hiding behind the other races and putting them up in the front line, in their Bible, they talk about when they put other people in the front line. Now they're the conquerors, right? But there's some story in the Bible with, David puts the man that he's trying to take his wife, he puts him on the front line so he can be killed, collateral damage. I'm king, your life is expendable. I take your wife. Who's gonna stop? Who's gonna check me, boo? That's the Moors for you, man. You indigenous out there, y'all really need to rethink the Moors. You need to be stopped getting so blinded by their show of greatness. But all that is at the cost of you. Know this if you know nothing at all. Everything they got was at the expense of you. And then they want to come back and say that you are them. I don't recall being a thief. I don't recall that that's what I'm about. I get more stolen from me than I've ever taken when a Moor is in the house, okay? This romantic idea we have of Moors really has to stop. Look at that picture. Them fucking Incas. Incubating the Moorish bullshit. The Aztecs. Somebody broke down Aztec. I wouldn't even do this, and I talk about Set all the time. The deity Set, the storm war chaos deity called Set. They said Aztec was people who worship Set, and they're the ones who did the blood sacrifice. I saw that in one of my slides that won't email, but we'll go over it. Don't worry, I'll get it somehow, some way. I got to show you that. We're gonna see, because I haven't done the Maya yet, and I keep talking about the Maya, but I'm just really I want to have my my stuff, when I talk about, because we did cover the Inca and the Aztec, right? Those are Moorish infiltrated Indians. If they got infiltrated at that point, that our Indians been infiltrated. Now this is the 1200, going back to like the 1200 BC. No, wait. Yeah, I keep making that mistake too. 1200 CE, AD, after Christ, or Anno Domini, or whatever. So, but those are still, see, again, and that was my point. We have to go further back beyond the Inca and the Aztec. Now that's, I think, going even beyond the Algonquin and the Iroquois. Remember, I was trying to say, we got to go far back to get our legacy, because everything the Mongol Empire had to come to grips with. Yes, they did infiltrate us, but again, we're going to have to look at the Hyksos. That was another one of my slides. We're going to read about the Hyksos, because before they were Maya, there were Hyksos. What am I saying? I'm saying that the Maya may very well be an admixture of Hyksos and Tamerians. But for us to get to the most purest appearance of ourselves in history, you're gonna have to include TaMeri, y'all. And we've been infiltrated. Now what my feeling is now is I have to ignore anything about Inca, and I have to ignore everything about Aztec. They've been infected. But Maya, I have to be careful as well. Now, they did use hieroglyphs, and I'm telling you, that is our oldest form of writing. Are we not the Tamerians, the Egyptians of old? Just like the Greeks are, their lineage is the Greeks, and they're proud of that. They should be. They should be. Actually, the Greeks, they remind me of the Hyksos in a way. They do, because what I'm reading about the Hyksos is basically what the Greeks were. The Greeks were peaceful when they were with us in the beginning, according to typical history. They were not warring with us. That didn't happen till Rome. And that was Rome is basically the priesthood saying, no, I didn't create you to be friends with these niggers. Now I'm going to give you a religion that's going to put you on top, and you're going to have to, I know you love them. I know you really want to hang out with them. That's what the original Greeks were to us. I mean, they were us, but then they lightened up, but they still they were, in other words, at some point they were considered foreign. That's what I'm trying to say here. So they could not have looked exactly like us because they were considered foreign. So what am I saying? The early Caucasian Greeks were our friends. That is who the Caucasian really is. But the Moor has to come in and say, no, not all niggas is supposed to be your friend. Now, I'm your friend because I'm the one who teaching you everything. But them Negroes over there, they need civilization. They don't know shit. We the ones that know everything. Meanwhile, we knew everything the Moors did until they did that Dark Ages kind of shit, where they basically, what they did was rewrite our shit in Spanish, pretty much. At the time of the 1400s, they were just taking our shit, putting it in Spanish, and then taking it from us, or they kept it in the high. Once you get in bed with the priesthood, you got to trade in your holy writings because you're going to get a Bible now or a Quran. So no more talk about what you did when you was heathen. So then your people lose their sense of self. They lose their culture. They're being reared up by the enemy. Because in all these years that you've been Christians, have you gotten any more of your land back that you lost? No. What you get? You get a house, no, a room in the mansion of Jesus after you die. That's what you get instead of your land. And a lot of us so backward, we prefer some imaginary place to the real one. Meanwhile, everybody else is looking for real life shit. So once they get your Negro ass, you chasing some deity to heaven where you got a room in his mansion. Well, on Earth, you had a mansion and you had land. I don't know what you're getting in the afterlife. What clouds? What is that? What you're gonna live on? You need land, okay? So, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, so that's what I can say now. I was thinking of playing this video, but I've talked so much um that I don't know if you're all ready to hear this again, but it would be nice to have the man be heard in my video, that I so I because I'm really building on what he's laying down. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Maybe I should let it play. I know y'all done got an ear full of me. Uh, but I did this video today because I, I'm I realize, I'm not going to let the fact that this email won't come through hinder me from saying what I want to say. This might be a preview, maybe, but I'm not gonna, I decided no, I'm gonna, say something even without those slides because I don't. It's weird that they're not coming to me, and I'm not, I'm having an unstoppable moment, shall we say? So yeah, so I would like, to play some more of this really, and then maybe Did I have any other video I want to show though? Because we did see this, and the part that I'm interested in is right here. Yes,
The Incas of Peru.
that's
They,
yes. This is the part that I want us to focus. He didn't say Maya. He didn't say TaMeri. Now, if we don't understand now that to be the oldest people in the world, you have to have the very oldest civilization that anybody is talking about had to happen in the oldest landmass, right? You can't have it where you're saying we're first, but Egypt was in Africa. It don't make no sense because that notice when they have Egypt in Africa, Africa becomes the motherland. All I'm telling indigenous is that you got to take that back because that is the first history. That is the first civilization, the first full developed civilization. You know, had not it didn't it had three forms of writing, not just one. Okay, that's another thing I'd never really say. We talk about Sumerians having cuneiform. The Egyptians had three different types of writing, y'all. And sometimes I forget. My bad. I know one is Coptic. I think another one's hieratic, and the other one is hieroglyphs. I think that is it. So these people were so advanced, y'all, that they had to. And some speculate that all the written languages came from one of those three, or a mix and match of the three, or something. But three languages, y'all. They not. I'm sorry, three forms of writing. I don't know if they had I think they all spoke the same language, okay? But they had not one form of writing, three. Okay? The Sumerians don't got that. They have one. And when you look at it again, it's like a numbering system. And I have to tell you that I found out that the Aztec, the Incas, I believe it was the Incas, they did not have a writing system. Now, for some reason, they're being denied a writing system, and I'm not sure why. I think it's because they would have had to write about Jerusalem. And the Moors realized, well, we rewriting that story about Machu Picchu. So we can't, if we want to say the Incas were advanced, that they knew how to build, but we won't be able to explain Machu Picchu because it would have to be something from that the Incas wrote. So if we don't want to talk about Machu Picchu and lie on the Holy Land, then we have to make the Incas illiterate in terms of that they don't have writing. Let me tell you what the Incas had, which made me think now that I might be right about the Sumerians. Incas didn't have a writing system. They had a number system. When I heard that, I'm like, I'm gonna bend over and kiss myself. Kiss my own ass. Because it gave me a precedence. There are some cultures that from that now I know that some cultures never had writing. And I'm telling you, I believe that was be Sumeria. I don't believe that Sumeria had writing, or that it. I know it was. I don't know. I don't believe it was the first. And whatever it is, it looks like a number system. It does not look like a writing system. And we're finding out. I found out that the Incas didn't know how to write. They had a number system. That's all they had. So let the record reflect. There are some cultures on Earth that they might not shouldn't even be called civilizations if they don't have writing, right? They say that you have to have writing to be a well, the Incas don't have this, but we're supposed to believe that they built Machu Picchu. They don't even know how to freaking write. They don't have a language. Oh, well, I'm sorry. They might have had a language. They just didn't know how to write. But they had a number system. What is that about? How do you have a civilization and you don't write, but you do numbers? Well, all I know is now I have a precedence for Sumeria. or compare and contrast. It is possible. It is in the realm of reality that a culture has a number system and no writing system. Now again, you say, bro, you doing a lot of talking and no showing. I told him the 5 ain't coming. I decided I can't let that stop. I'm too filled with what I gotta say. And yes, I apologize. I don't have my slides. I can't show you what I read. That the Incas, shit, should we do it freaking now and then, y'all? Okay, y'all put me. Let's get some of this work in then. Okay, let me see if I can find this. Oh man, because I did change my my whole setup, but I know how to find it. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm going to stop my screen share for a minute because I want to find this on my own. So give me a minute. Oh, I can't minimize. Okay. So let me see. But I can search. Now let me search. It was on. Now it's going to mean we're going to have to watch another video, okay? Okay. So let's just do it. I want to show you that the Incas did not have a writing system. So let's go to a World History Encyclopedia. Now you can't see this because I just don't want to do. Wait a minute. World History Encyclopedia. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we got to go to the Inca, and there's a video on that website, the Inca Empire. Okay. Okay, so you can't see my search because I decided I'm not going to put you through that. You know, I have a lot windows open, and I just some things that like my email and all that I don't feel like showing. Okay, so I believe I found it. So now we're going to share the screen, go back to our screen share. We're going to share our screen, and it's going to be this one. Okay, so you're not going to be able to hear it. Let's see if you're going to be able to hear it because I did.
Finance is always moving, but is it really moving forward? Crypto solutions are transforming finance.
Wait a minute.
Moving us all into a dynamic
I said, wait a minute.
Ripple.
I said, wait a minute. Fair use. Fair use. We're going to watch a video. We're going to find out that the Incas did, and I read it and I saw it here, but then I read it and I'm like, are you crapping me? How are we going to even call them a civilization without writing? Because it's the Moors, man. The Moors, they got infiltrated by the Moors. So the Moors are speaking for them, okay? That's what I'm trying to say here. Just like the Moors are speaking for Samaria, okay? That is what's really going on here. The Moors are doing the talking. That's what they want to do with us. And the only way we're going to get out of it is we're going to have to circumvent, predate all of their infiltration shit. And I'm telling you, it happened as early as the Hyksos. So now let's listen to this. Okay, we might have to go back to her intro. Wait a minute. I wasn't. Am I at the beginning? Wait a minute. Is she talking about the? Did they change the damn video? Because I don't recall her being. Let's see.
My colleagues here wanted me to share an important fact. Over 124 million Americans suffer from musculoskeletal issues. For business,
thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk to you about your new book.
This is not it. This is not it.
Let's start off with what your book is all about. Did you know that the Inca had one of the most sophisticated road networks and messenger systems in history?
Fair use.
Stick around to learn all about the Inca civilization.
I believe this is the video, but we'll see. Oh,
Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly, and in today's video, we are going to explore the history of the Inca civilization. Don't forget, the easiest way to support us is by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel and hitting the bell icon for notifications so you don't miss out on our new videos.
You know what? We might skip because again.
The Inca civilization flourished in Peru and surrounding areas between 1400 and 1533 CE.
That's the time frame of the Moors, basically. After the 1200s, you're getting infiltrated by the Mongols, all right? So I decided, what I was going to say is I really don't want to play this whole thing because, as I said, I feel like it's an infiltrated society. I don't want to hear the bullshit. I don't want to hear it. We're going to skip to where she talks about the writing. Here it is right here. Fair use.
The Inca didn't develop an alphabet or a writing system, but what they did develop was a sophisticated system of record keeping called a quipu. A quipu used colorful knotted strings to signify certain information.
Are you kidding me?
But what that information was is still unknown. Interestingly, there was also no currency in the Inca Empire, and things like taxation would have been paid in foodstuffs, precious metals, and textiles.
Okay, so I'm not going through the bullshit, but as you just heard, that is some bullshit. How are you a civilization and you don't have an alphabet or a right? Who is telling your history? A string with not that they have not yet deciphered, right? So who are the Incas? Who the fuck knows? The Moors are the ones who giving us their history, okay? Archaeology is a hijacked field because if you dig up bones in America, no matter what those bones look like, you found them in the Americas. So for you to go the extra mile to say that it's from Africa, you have tainted the field of archaeology. Okay? End of story. Just don't come at me with the bullshit. Anywhere else you find bones, you never say they're from Africa. When you find bones in the Americas, the archaeology in America is about claiming that the bones you found here did not originate here. That's what archaeology, so that's not archaeology, is it? Right? There's nothing on that bone saying I'm from Africa. You can say that I have Negroid features all you want, but you cannot say I'm from Africa. Okay? Common sense goes a long way. And I know people still don't like the idea of common sense. You know what? That's your problem. That's your problem. I was going to say something else and I kind of, but yeah, it's archaeology in America is a joke, okay? They making it, they want the world to believe that America is just sitting here with all this wealth and no one was here. It was invaded by humans. It was like the land that, again, time forgot. Ain't nobody here. And that's what I was going to say. Even when they say that it was Negroes that first found America, somehow that credit is not routing or trickling down to American Negroes, right? Right? So if we were the first people here, okay, say now we were not indigenous to this land, which we know that's bullshit, right? But say we weren't, we would still have to be considered the people that found this land, right? But you want to go back to Lemuria and all of that shit and Atlantis, but you are ignoring the evidence that's right in front of your face. How are you going to go to Lemuria, Atlantis, and you can't even interpret bones that you find in America? So when you find Atlantis, what you going to say? Oh, these bones was from Africa. When you find Atlantis under the sea, and you dig up the bones under the sand in the sea, What are you fucking going to say? That the bones were from Africa? Huh? Moors, Moorish, infiltrated archaeologists? You are a disgrace to archaeology. When y'all get some sense and stop being fucking programmed by the program and the hijack of this fucking country and this government, you will stop saying that the bones are from Africans. You will say that those are indigenous American bones, and they are the same Negroes that we call Negroes. But it turned out they were the Indians, right? Because them bones is old as God knows what, right? So that means they are the indigenous of America. Okay, archaeology, let me adjust you, okay? Let me upgrade you. Archaeology talking about these bones is from Africa. Are you out your mind? So I'm going to pause for a minute and I will be back. Okay, we are back. And okay, so would like to begin the conversation. You know, I took a minute to try to recapture my PDFs that would not email to me. And I think we got most of them here. So the question that we are looking at is, okay, so we have the Maya, the Inca, and the Aztec. Which one of those were most infiltrated by the Mongol Empire? You know, and which is maybe, although not infiltrated, still not as, let's see, what's the word? Indigenous to America as say Tamerian Indians would be. Because we have to deal, and that's what I didn't look up. I didn't find my Hyksos. Okay, so we might, I am sharing my screen. Let's see if we could find anything, you know, not, well, preferably something that will help us. We could try here. I did not go, see, this was a part of the that I needed to, okay. I mean, I don't know if this is going to say what I need to say, but we kind of want to look at the time frame of the Hyksos. And they began, let me see. It had something to do with the 13th dynasty, right? Okay, so of the Middle Kingdom. That was 2040 BCE. So I'm glad I brought this up because this is where our Maya might be coming. They're around, you know, they're in that second millennium, I guess they're calling it. Is that what they're, I hope I get that right. So now we know that the Aztec and the Incas, we should know by now from that great video by Re-Educated TV. You know, the infiltrated Indians that are being called indigenous. This is where the Moors may be claiming indigenousness, you see? But they can't say that they came and infiltrated the Incas. They just want us to accept the Inca and the Aztec as they were just here. No, you infiltrated them, okay? With the Mongol Empire, all right? But the Maya, they were most likely, okay. We have to understand that the Hyksos are not seen as invaders, but they are seen as foreign to the first indigenous culture, what I'm going to say was TaMeri, okay? We got to figure out where the first infiltration happened, and we don't like to go there because nobody wants to talk about TaMeri, but we're going to do it today, okay? We just going to grin and grit and bear it, okay? Let's grow up. Okay, let's just try to grow up for once. We can't just toss centuries of civilization, especially if it's in America, out the window and want to just start from somewhere in the middle. You're going to get infiltrated by the Moors, by the Mongol Empire. Okay, this is why we're doing this. So I know that a lot of indigenous, they just, you always talking about that damn TaMeri. We not TaMerians. Well, you need to figure it out. You really do. You really do. I'm showing you right here where the infiltration started. The Hyksos were a Semitic people who gained a foothold in TaMeri. Because at this point, they're not in Africa, okay? Circa 1782 BCE. You see, so that's a very early infiltration point, not like the 1200s, right? Well, I'm trying to show you where the foreigner came, but no one wants to look at this history. That's why they don't want you to look at it. At the city of, they're gonna call it, they're gonna make it in Africa, but we know from Horace Butler that the first TaMeri was in America, okay? That's why we have hieroglyphs in America, okay? That's why we have the Maya using hieroglyphs, although they, I believe, are part of these people. They were the foreigners who did not invade. Very likely because they were homegrown. This is what the Moors do. They mess with genetics, okay? That's how they created corn. Well, I do think that was, something that we did, but I'm just saying you can see from corn is an example of beginnings of messing with genetics of plants. And then you start doing it with animals. And then you start doing it with human beings. The Hyksos were a Semitic people. Some people say semi. You gotta look at the prefix semi people, semi, ish. That kind of coincides with ish, any ish. Okay, so we're not trying to single out anyone. Ish, like. They were like. Okay, semi. Okay, that's one way of a word spell that the Moors would use. Okay, splendid thing. The Hyksos were a Semitic people who gained a foothold in Egypt, or TaMeri, circa 1782 BCE at the city of Abris in Lower Egypt, thus initiating the era known in Egyptian or TaMerian history as the Second Intermediate Period. Circa 1782 to circa 1570 BCE. Their name, what? Hekau Kasut, Set. Heka, I know, meant magic in ancient TaMeri. Magic of the Ka of Set is how I might break it down, because Ka is like, I always forget if it's the body or the spirit or the soul or something. There's Ba, there's Ka. I got them mixed up in one of my videos. But I know Ka has to do with one of the three parts of being a human being: the spirit, the body, and the soul. So the Ka is either the soul or the spirit. Okay. Magic spirit of Set. Soot. Soot is Set. Sutek, Set, Satan, Setan. Okay. Now I'm just, trying to break down what I know of that kind of word. I know Heka means magic in ancient time. I've always known that. Like magics, and I think it had to do with words, magic spells or whatever. Translate, okay, but they say oops, we went a little far off. But they're saying it's rulers of foreign lands, okay? Okay, well, that was a different breakdown of that word, but they're saying Hyksos, or they saying that's okay. Okay, rulers of foreign land. Okay, so let's scratch what my breakdown, but that was when I first saw that word, that's what I know of those parts. But okay. But it does suffice for what we're saying here. This is the first foreigners that you have in an indigenous land. It's just that they're going to try to say that this land was Africa, right? It wasn't. There's mostly Africans in Africa, right? Pretty much, right? So we're the ones being infiltrated, because the Moors are sending all their people here, and then they apparently started home growing them here as well, because the Moors are trying to diversify. So they looking for people to do the dirty work, okay, that they can't do, right? Right. Okay. So they had to recreate deities for them that would sort of give them a platform to do what the Moors need them to do. Okay. So their name translate as rulers of foreign lands. Okay, I was off on that one. Pardon, I was going somewhere else with it. But seriously though, that breakdown is the most what I know of that Heka, Ka, and Sut. Okay. But okay. Rulers of foreign lands given by the Greeks as Hyksos, suggesting to some scholars that they were kings or nobility driven from their homes by invasion, who found refuge in the port city of Avarice. Oh my God. Okay. How I interpret that is they were being driven out by the indigenous. So the Hyksos are foreigners. But anyway, let me see if I'm getting this right. It's so funny that the first thing is that they're nobility. You see, because that's who's really behind all of this. The Moors through the priesthood. Now the priesthood basically are a level of nobility, okay? And I would say they might be the highest because they're the ones seen as taking their direction from the gods. So in ancient TaMeri, it was all about the gods. Okay, so the priesthood, they were very highly esteemed, but they took advantage of their position. So let's see, it's saying that some scholars say they were kings driven out of their home. So maybe we kicked them out early and put them in North America. I don't know. Okay, no, there was no invasion. No. They're being called invaders, but they're saying no. They were foreigners, but not invaders. Because I think that's a way of saying they were homegrown. That's the best way I could say it. That they're just homegrown, foreigner, but not invaders. Or some sort. They were like, they didn't invade. They were welcome. Okay, so that's how I would say it. If they were not invaders, then the priesthood introduced them, although they were foreign. And then from there, the priests now want to change the religion. Okay. Okay. Avarice. They lived in avarice. Isn't avarice some kind of form of greed? That word, doesn't it have something to do with greed? You know, if you go to get with the etymology, avarice. They're from avarice. Oh, yes, they were. Quite literally. Or they are, who found refuge in the city of avarice and managed to establish a strong power base during the decline of the 13th dynasty in the Middle Kingdom. 2040. See, that's where your Maya time, I believe, is beginning. It's in that millennium, of 24, the 20s. Most likely they were traders. Oh boy. That's commerce. That was the first word for commerce. Trade, commerce. This has more written all over it. So I think the Hyksos were the first Moors, perhaps. When you get trade involved and they're seen as foreign and all of this, that's more. That sounds more, especially with the trade, who at first welcome. They come in the guise of, we just want to trade with you. So you welcome them because you want to trade is good, but they have ulterior motive. Most likely they were traders who were first welcomed at avarice, prospered, and sent word to their friends and neighbors to come join them, resulting in a large population, which was able to finally exert political and then military power. If that don't sound like America, y'all. Now we're talking about way in TaMeri time. What I'm trying to tell you, and I said it before, they've been coming after us as like almost since time began, y'all. That's why you need to look at TaMeri. I don't care if they're saying it's in Africa. It's a lie. You gotta look at what's going on here with these dynasties and the foreign. That's the first infiltration before anything in the Christian era. This is way before the Christian era. Okay, so this trying to show you that they started out, then they become a military power, then they go and become a religious power. They would eventually do that. Although the later Tamerian scribes, oh, wait a minute, here we go. Here it is. Please hear this. Although, now these are not Tamerians, these are the Egyptians of the New Kingdom, which is Akhenaten. Okay. Although the later Egyptian scribes of the New Kingdom, whenever you hear new, know that something old they're trying to do away with it. New World Order, New Testament. New is probably one of the most underrated words because there is a significance to newness. New, it has a way of wanting to discard, erase that which is old. That's why American Indians have such a hard time in the new world, quote unquote. It's the old world, but they're going to make it new through lies. Although the later Egyptian scribes of the New Kingdom would demonize the Hyksos, this is what I was talking about. I think when I was in Times Square, the Hyksos were demonized by Akhenaten's gang. Do you see what Akhenaten was doing? Do you see what this 18th dynasty, they're rewriting shit. They're lying. They want to say that the Hyksos were the bad guys. Then how come it was you, 18th dynasty, Akhenaten and the Moses and the Tutmoses and them? Why was it you are seen as a heretic, Akhenaten? You're a heretic, so you're worse than the Hyksos in the eyes of the TaMerians. That's why I'm saying we were those TaMerians. I know we were, and I know people will fight that. You're indoctrinated. That's all. Somebody told you not to look at it, and you don't realize that that's why you can't look at it. But look at all this richness that you can get if you do. Although the later Egyptian scribes of the New Kingdom, that's Akhenaten and the boys, and that one Hatshepsut who's lying about Punt, saying that they came from Punt. No, you didn't. You came from us when we kicked you out of TaMeri. And since you don't like to talk about that, you'd rather think that you were from South Africa. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. No, the hell you were not. You got expelled. And that's why you made that great story about an exodus. Imagine your fantasy island version of what happened to you, Moors, which are mixed multitude. Although the later those would be the people that they fostered into the country. The Hyksos are a product of, I would say they're a product of those who became the 18th dynasty. Or the 18th dynasty is a product of them, is more likely. So let's continue. Although the later Egyptian scribes would demonize, those are the New Kingdom, the Hyksos as invaders who conquered the land and destroyed temples and slaughtered without mercy, there is no evidence for any of these claims. Even today, the Hyksos are referred to as invaders, and their advent in TaMeri, because that's where they began. I'm saying this is where your first foreigners appeared, y'all. It was in TaMeri, but they were not invaders. They just learned our system. It was the priesthood that had other agenda for them. Even today, the Hyksos are referred to as invaders, and their advent in TaMeri as the Hyksos invasion, but actually they assimilated neatly into Egyptian or TaMerian, adopting TaMerian fashion and religious beliefs. Then the priesthood said, oh, no, you will not. The priesthood said, oh, no, you will not. We're going to make a deity for you. And your deity is going to be the only one. That's what the Moors did to your indigenous ass, okay? Stop lying to yourself about these Negroes who are still running things until you wake all the way up. The more you sleep, the more they run shit. Wake up. It wasn't an invasion. It was homegrown. This is just how they're using white people. Same exact way. Dumped here by King James, along with other indigenous who were had been kidnapped and taken to Britain and Ireland to build that up, you know, and Scotland and all of that. That's why I think that's why we let them in at first, because they look just like us. But we never really saw King James, though. So we figured it was a white man doing this to our people. It's probably what it was. And he was treating them bad, like he was. But he was hoping that he was transferring that shit to us. That's what was supposed to happen. He would send our people. I believe those people that came here looked and were us. It's just that they had they might have been the West Indians that were kidnapped, like Pocahontas was. But they were taken en masse from the Caribbean, and then they had, that's why that accent is in the British accent. It's a West Indian accent. What came first? West Indians came before Britain. So whose accent is that? West Indian. It's just the Caucasian version of that accent. I truly believe that at the time of Columbus, between that time and King James, our people were taken too. That's why they were dumped here. That when you read Lee Cummings' book, he don't say that they were expelled from, those black people were expelled, those people that look like us that from Europe. He didn't say they were expelled. He said they were deported. So that's why I think that, see, that's what the Moors don't fucking conquer, okay? They find ways to use your people against you. That's how they escape karma as long as they have, because it's technically not them. That's the genius of infiltrating a bloodline, because then it's your own people. And then the Moors come and say that, but we you. And meanwhile, so they come like the knight in shining armor while we killing ourselves. And now they're going to say that, you know, when we're starting to wake up, of course, that's when they're going to come and really try to make it like we're one people. But you went out in the world, and we're going to keep saying this, and told the world that we didn't exist. So how can I be your brother? You denied me to the world. You spearheaded. You're the one that started these empires after Rome, because Rome is the first empire. That's the first time that term is used for Augustus, or whatever his name was, who had a whole month named after his ass, August. The hell they had to choose my time of the year to have their fucking months. July after Julius Caesar. That's the other thing that indigenous are going to at some point think about. Maybe it's not a priority. We need a whole new calendar, y'all. We can't be giving these freakers that kind of dominion in an indigenous world. There's no July and August. As soon as let me see, June ends, it's supposed to be September. Let me see. No, those threads. Actually, there's something going on with the first month, because the ones that are not numerical, like December, November, and October, or September. See, the ones that are numbered, those I believe are the more legitimate ones. But these ones that have these different sounding, January. Who's that? Feb. Who's that? March. Who's that? What deity? April. Who's that? It's only when you get the number system, and I believe they took the best times of the year to give these foreign deities, like spring and summer, fall. These are like the best time, and they all, well, except for September. Maybe it's not October, but summer and spring are given to these weird months that we don't know who are the deities of these months, January through August. January, February, March, April, July, August. So yeah, one day we'll have to figure out who these months named after, that we don't need to be using that language no more. Okay, so back to this. Well, we just want to be sure. Okay, so the Hyksos were invaders that the New Kingdom Akhenaten demonized. How the heretic gonna demonize somebody? You the demon according to your own people. So you're calling these foreigners who were not invaders, you saying that they did all this damage, but you did that. Akhenaten closed the temples down. And who knows, he might have slaughtered as well. Maybe that's not talked about. But he was erased. He was so bad that the Tamerians erased him from their record. Who resurrected him? The Moors did. And now all you know is about Akhenaten and his son King Tut. His daughter is Scotia. She is the namesake of Scotland. So it is through that dynasty that we're getting, I'll just say it again, out of all the pharaohs that we know of, there's only one called a heretic. We called him that, y'all, not Africans. That would be Africa's hero. He's the one that put Africa on the map, because remember, we looked at one of the oldest civilizations in Africa is ours. If we own TaMeri, then you could get that first dibs. But we so busy running from TaMeri, you are playing right into your enemy's hand. Remember, he don't want you, although he's putting you in Africa, he won't let you be Egyptian. That is what you're supposed to be grabbing. What your enemy is holding back from you is what is yours. Use your common sense. They want to put us in Africa, but they don't even want us to be top dog in Africa. What kind of bullshit? So everywhere you go, American Indian, you are the underdog, even in your homeland. You're the even when they put you in a foreign land, they put you as the fucking low-class bitches. And y'all want to be Moors. You don't see that it's the Moors doing all this. You don't see that the Mongol Empire was the Moors, like the brother told us. And everything that they calling Asian is something that they brought to the world. So they take the dominion as if they're God over that thing. Words, people, places, animals, everything. They name it the globe. That's their creation. The universe. They done created you a whole universe with planets and other solar systems, just doing everything to make you small as possible, to make you the least and the smallest, while they big up themselves. I like to be very clear. You think, those of you who always want to talk about the white man, don't you know that you will never solve anything with the white man if you have a Negro that keeps bringing him to you? Now, I'm not advocating any kind of genocide, anything like that. What I'm saying is we got to deal with where the white man came from, and then really understand that it's not the white man himself. So there is no need to get rid of the races. It's a need to get rid of the ones who are using them against American Indians. Now, some of these races did buy into the Moorish lies, and they do have very negative ideas about all us as indigenous. But that's the Moors doing. They reared up Columbus. They reared up Spain, the first people that come to enslave us, Portugal and Spain. Who did it? The Moors did it. They want to come here and have our people telling us our own people, trying to take us down with that bullshit. So I really just wanted to get to that part, really, to show you that the Hyksos, this is my whole point of bringing up the Hyksos, to show what is this odd people that are seen as foreigners but not invaders, and then get demonized by the heretic or the heretics dynasty. Okay, even today, the Hyksos are referred to as invaders. I like to say that what's his name? Alexander was not an invader either. Alexander got an invitation to come take TaMeri down. That's what he got from the priest. The same ones that made him into a deity. Well, they made his general into a deity. For some reason, they couldn't do it with Alexander himself. I think because, why? Because he had maybe because they couldn't have his personality or his actions be attached to the deity. So they had to make his general a deity for some reason. I don't know why they made Ptolemy. But even though they made Ptolemy a deity, I still believe they used Alexander's face, image, and likeness to create Jesus. Well, first it was Serapis, and then the Romans named it Jesus. But it started out Serapis with the Greeks. And that's because they were they had to appease the people, right? So the priesthood named Serapis after Osar and the Apis bull of TaMeri. So Osirapis. Ray Hagen used to do a breakdown of this, and then Walter Williams also told us this, that Serapis is a conglomerate deity of two Tamerian deities, make up Serapis, but they gave him the face of Alexander. And later on, they would rename him Jesus. But Walter Williams lets us know that that's a conglomeration of, two other deities. Like, in other words, they got to erase the Egyptian and the Tamerian deity. And so Jesus is, according to Walter Williams, it's a conglomerate of Jupiter and Zeus. You see the word spell? Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, Serapis, Osar, and the Apis bull. Caribbean. So you never know that you're Indian. You just hear this weird word, Caribbean. Never knowing that's a tribe of Indians or a name of a group of Indians, Carib Indians. So Peru, but you'll never guess that Peru is named after a Tamerian deity named Heru. These are word spells that I'm giving you examples of. That's what I'm trying to say here. You mash a word together so it loses the essence, and it creates something new that the Moors can now say that no, we didn't really change a name. We just shorthanded it. We what do you call it? We made it when you shorten something. But as you know, when you make something a new word, it's not in the world of law. You can't do that unless you specify that you did it. And so there's a lot of unspecified renaming going on. TaMeri, a Merita. Horace Butler showed us that word spell is make a nation by reversing the name while you reverse the history. Instead of old, now TaMeri is old, Amerita or America becomes a new world. This is how easy it is for the Moors to erase people, places, and things. And if you are an emperor, again, you are calling on the Roman Empire. If you're a Khan, you're going with the Genghis Khan empire takeover. So all these little words that our indigenous love to use, I'm a Khan, I'm a American. No, the hell you ain't. Because that's when we got infiltrated. You know, and we're not an empire because we were not Roman. Rome invented that crap. Emperor, empire. That's a nod to the Roman Empire. That tells you where the group came from. Anything that has an emperor, you're giving credit to Rome. That's how word spells work. So as I was saying, we really need to just start our own language, you know, or go back and learn our old ones. Like for me, I would have to learn Algonquin a little bit better, a lot. Well, I don't know any of it except Quay. So that's what it would be. You know, go back and reconstruct our language as we have to do it, y'all. These words are spelling us up, and it's sending a vibration that calls up our oppression. So that's how we do it. I think I'm recalling something earlier, but I was something about the corporation. And because that's another word speller organization. It's a corporation, right? So it's reclassifying us, renaming us, so as to extort money from us or extort our wealth from us. So I was just saying earlier that I learned so much from the state nationals, and you learned basically that, you know, what they were here for, to protect our commerce on the high seas. But do we even need that anymore? You know, protecting us from who? The Moors, right? But it's the Moors saying that they're going to protect us from themselves, and we know that that's not going to happen. But yeah, you know, the state nationals are very clear on what the duty of the corporation is: protect our property. You know, and they're doing a lot more than that these days, aren't they? Right? So I think that's somewhat what I was going to say about. That's why the state nationals they've been so important to me, because they teach me about the corporation that indigenous need to get from under, just like the state nationals are moving away from, and putting them in their place and saying you don't have jurisdiction. Now, these are foreigners telling the government this. We Indians are still trying to work with it. And it's just that it's just not really ever going to work out that way. They're not here for our benefit. They infiltrated so that they could have dominion over us. So we can't make nice with them and think that all we do is, you know, incorporate. Now we best dogs with the corporation. No, they're going to hinder us. You got to report to them and tell them what you're doing. So now they're like all in our business. They're not supposed to be in our business like that. You are a foreigner on my land. You don't look over my shoulder. I got to look over yours. You don't spy on me. You go home and do the spying. You go to Europe or Africa and do the spying. You don't do that in my land or to me. Now, you could try to do, but even the state nationals ain't trying to have to do that either, because they have a Declaration of Independence. That's what they gave you. But we have a system that's hell-bent on making us like we enemies to our own land. Only because you reclassified me, so in your eyes, yes, I am. But you're the foreign entity, not me. You don't have no dominion over me. I don't need your paperwork, your ID, or your social security, your birth certificate. I got to keep track of you. You don't keep track of me on my land. I said you do that at home, when you got to calculate what people you got to get rid of on your homeland. You don't tabulate me, baby. Freak out of here with that. That's the attitude we have to have with this corporation. Anyway, so the Hyksos, they assimilated into Tamerian culture, but the rulers is the ones who wanted them to do extra. That's just exactly what's going on right now. They bringing all these foreigners here. These foreigners ain't coming to fight with Negroes. They coming for opportunity. But the government has something else in mind. They want to raise them up, give them the advantages that we cannot get. What Martin Luther King was talking about. Girded with money and shit. The thing, when they do that to us, though, they feel like they own us. No, you don't own us. You owe us. There's a difference. When anything you given to the Indian is what you took, not what you are benefiting me with. You could do that with the foreigner. You can't do that with us. You giving them handouts. What you give me is what you took from me. I don't owe you shit. And they all know this. Got them seat warmers in Congress looking like black fools. All they want is the prestige, to look good. And ain't shit changed where they warming up that seat. It's like on fire with they black ass sitting on that seat doing shit. Nothing that makes a difference. And yet they be in there for like years, like a whole lifetime in that damn Congress. And ain't shit changed. Our status is still shit. They ain't doing shit to try to change that. The main source, I'm going to skip down. The main source of information on the Hyksos in Egypt, or TaMeri, comes from the 3rd century BCE Egyptian writer Manetho. So an agent of the Moors, whose work has been lost but was extensively quoted by later writers, notably Flavius Josephus, another agent. Just like Sitchin, Zechariah Sitchin. So when you write about something, you're creating something. The Hyksos were foreign, but they were not invaders. Manetho's flawed understanding of the meaning of the Hyksos name and Josephus's further misinterpretation gives the translation of Hyksos as captive shepherds. And this complete misunderstanding has given rise in recent years to the claim that Hyksos were a Hebrew community living in Egypt, or TaMeri, whose expulsion provides the basis for events recorded in the book of Exodus. See that expelling turned into an Exodus? There is no evidence, however, to support this claim. Somebody's tired of being lied about, y'all. And who's telling the lie? So we have first Akhenaten saying that they were invaders. Now we have what's his name? Manetho. He's just he's like Madonna, just one word name for me. Manetho. and Flavius Josephus. They say that's some kind of, I don't know, one of those names that you break down in so many ways, and then, you know, everything is a word spell. You know, Manetho, Flavius Josephus. Manetho's flawed understanding of the meaning of the Hyksos name and Josephus' further misinterpretation gives the translation of Hyksos as captive shepherds. And this complete misunderstanding has given rise in recent years to the claim that the Hyksos were a Hebrew community living in TaMeri, Egypt, whose expulsion provides the basis for the events recorded in the book of Exodus. Well, I kind of agree with that, because I know that it's the 18th dynasty that was expelled. And this would have happened after the Hyksos. And I know that why Akhenaten would be expelled. I don't know why the Hyksos would be expelled when they assimilated. I think they were supposed to be invaders, but they didn't do it. And so their daddy had to step in and demonize them for us, because they weren't fitting the part. So Akhenaten steps in, or his dynasty folk, and they write them in history as invaders. Meanwhile, it's said that Akhenaten didn't even try to secure the borders. He's known as someone who didn't care about the borders. Yeah, because he wants the mixing. So why do you care? You probably had something to do with them coming here. Or you are them, but you need to blame them for what you're doing. No Egyptian nor any other culture's records indicate the Hyksos were slaves in Egypt. It was probably just like what they're doing here. Our indentured servants were not slaves. And our children were not slaves. They were not being driven by why am I saying that, even though indigenous use their children to work the farms, that they were not slaves? They were not, because they were going to be inheritors of that land, of that farm. So it's not a slave. You working for someone else and you're not getting what you're due. So it's not the same with an indigenous who has their children learning how to be hard workers to keep their family farm. It's a whole different situation. So no, the emancipation laws and the emancipation amendments, that was to make everybody slaves. Okay? Real slaves, not indentured servants, debt slaves. An indentured servant doesn't have a debt. Okay? Slaves, well, you become a slave when you have a debt. Children working on their farm, it's only to their benefit. Slaves working on a farm ain't no benefit. Okay. So there's no evidence to support this claim that they were Hebrew slaves. They were probably just working for us, just like it was in later times when King James was doing the same shit that Akhenaten is doing, basically. Say, you know, those people were working for us. That's why they had no reason. But what the king is doing, what his objective is, learn all you can about these Negroes, because I'm going to make you their replacements. Okay? So get on, we're going to put you there, and we're going to have you as an indentured servant. But even the indentures probably don't know this. But that's the whole idea. And then they learn farming, and then they get the farm. Later on, the Democratic Party would make sure that you lose your farm, right? So that was the whole thing. And you know, that time you come and learn, and then you win their farm. Yay! They teach you how to steal their shit and work their shit, and you get paid, and they become like they're foreigners. You have their land, and now they are homeless, looking to rent. You know, so someone else makes money off the indigenous. Instead of it should be the other way around, the foreigner, or we get some benefit from giving them a room and board and a home and a place to sleep and all that. Pay me. You're on my land. So yeah, you pay me. That whole dynamic out the window. Because now they done made us homeless. We can't even, we had land. We could have made money just by opening up a bed and breakfast for, you know, for the foreigner. But no, not with this nobility, not with these Moors. And again, when I say nobility, think about their own book where they talk about more than likely how they became noble by stealing a birthright, right? Someone gives you a birthright and then you have to go and steal it. What's wrong with that story? Maybe the part where Esau gave it to him is a lie. Why would you have to steal it if someone gave it to you? Why? Why would you need to dirty your good name by going a step further to steal something that was allegedly given to you? Well, the way I always saw this, Esau never gave him the blessing. He might have given what he gave him it wasn't the blessing that Yaqub stole. And whatever he stole, that is what he really wanted, not what Esau gave him. That wasn't enough. So whatever he stole, that is what he got. And so what does that mean? That means whatever Esau gave him was not enough for a Most High God to hate Esau, because obviously Jacob stole something that was much more necessary, right? So whatever Esau gave him would not have completed this transaction, shall we say, this thievery. So another reason why that story is bogus for me, because why is God hating Esau? You didn't hate, the way I see it, you didn't hate Cain, a murderer who murdered a good man. Abel was the good one. How's that for a kick in the teeth? Look what happens to the good guy when you're given a new scripture. In your scripture, Heru fights to keep his land and his title. And you don't know nothing about that, do you? And you're wondering why I'm always talking about it. Why are you trying to make me because there's a higher chance that you'll get your land back if you line yourself up with the deities that's about that. But if you lining yourself up with someone that's going to give you your pie in the sky after you die, well, that's what you're going to get after you die. Okay? You want dead? All right. Keep on doing it. I want my land as I live. I want my heaven as I live. Want my identity back. I want my position back, and I will have it. That's why I'm going back to get it. It didn't start with King James. It didn't even start with Columbus. We got to go where it started to know what's going on. I would have to say it started wherever these Hyksos were invited. But who's picking up their narrative? Who's demonizing them? That's Akhenaten. That's the 18th dynasty. Who was Akhenaten? The heretic. Now, some people might say, well, that's why I don't want to be bothered with Egypt, because they was all heretics. No, you got that one wrong. No, they were not all heretics. They were not. Only one. And that is the one we dealt with. We kicked that ass out. And I'll say it till I can't say it. That's how we dealt with the one who turned on us. We sent that ass to Africa. Next thing you know, Africa becomes Asia. Everything around Africa becomes Asia with their Mongolian Empire. They're looking for another people to kick your ass with. Why? Because we know who they were. We would have known them immediately. So they couldn't use themselves because they just got a beat down. But more than a beat down, I think they were binded. I think they were spiritually binded or bound. That's why they had to get other people to do it. It's like any one of those horror flicks. There's a well, one I'm thinking of right now is actually a Twilight Zone episode, one of the more creepier ones too, where a man visits a monastery. It's raining, you know this one. And when he gets in, the priesthood have a man in a cell. And the only thing that's holding this man back from getting out of that cell is a little crook, like the thing that they like how what Moses used to part the sea or something like that, that stick. So that's the only thing holding in this man. And the stranger that comes to the monastery, he don't understand, why can't this man just get out? He was bounded. He was binded. I don't know the witch term, the spell term. And I'm not saying witches are a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a binding. It's a binding. So he couldn't leave because he was he couldn't touch that thing that it binded him. That little crook, he could. It was, I guess it had like some kind of it was prayed over, whatever. He couldn't touch it. That's how the Moors were. They couldn't come back. I believe they were binded. I believe it was a spiritual binding of some sort, and they couldn't really come back as themselves. So that is why they pretty quickly, realized they had to use somebody. So in that episode, it's the guy that's being bound is Satan. And he's begging the guy, these men are crazy, they won't let me out. I don't know, I came here. They said I was wicked and I'm evil, and they locked me in here and I can't get out. And I just need you to lift that little thing out there. This is what's holding you back, the man said. Well, yeah, I can't, I just need you to please just lift it. I can't do it. They told me that. Really? I mean, all you gotta do is reach out and, no, I can't, whatever. So he needed someone else to do the deed because he couldn't do it. He was binded. That's what happened, I believe, to the Moors once we kicked their ass out. They were never to come back. They were not welcome. It would have to be years generations as we forgot them, and they didn't even wait for that. They began sending their Mongolians here, the Aztec, the Inca. But they already had an element in the Mayas, because that's why I'm showing you this Hyksos. But the thing is, now the Maya might have been similar to these Hyksos. They were not bad. They just adopted the culture. I don't, maybe, the way I see it, the mixing happened, and I don't know if we got everybody out. I think the ones who wanted to leave left. The ones who wanted to follow that religion and follow what Akhenaten was. He created a new religion, y'all. That's why he got expelled. That's what's not being said. That's what he's known for. Changing a whole system that we had with introducing a new deity that we never heard of. So, some people wanted to follow that. So I believe we expelled the one. I believe it was a choice. If you want to go with, follow him, you have to go with him. If not, you stay here. So that means some, not all the foreigners left, is what I'm trying to get at. So that they become the Maya. Okay? That's what I see. You know? Because we do have a foreign element in America. We know that, right? We just not sure how far back they go. But I remembered my learning of ancient Egypt, but I know now it's TaMeri. And that helped me to know where the foreigner first appears. And again, this is why we're looking at these dates. This is your first foreign. Look, read it. Foreign land. Rulers of foreign land. Okay? And it was about 1782 BCE. And remember what we said about what a possible multiple definition for Semitic. Semi, ish, alike, people like, but not the indigenous people, but like them. A semi-indigenous, you might say. You know, something to that effect. But they still not full indigenous. So they were not invaders. They were just foreign. Okay. So I don't know if I want to read all of this. This is interesting. Contrary to the claims of the New Kingdom scribes, Manetho and Josephus. So what does that mean? Throw all of this in the garbage, okay? The new king, we already threw Akhenaten in the garbage can. They kept resurrecting that nigga. Now all we see is that face, and we think he's the greatest thing, you know? So all of this got to go in the garbage can. Now, if you want to hate on Egypt, this is where I say, have at it. This is the man you want. Akhenaten and the 18th, all of those are the 18th dynasty. I don't think you can separate them. They seem to have the same thing going on. It's just that Akhenaten took it to the next level. You know, they were looking to, it wasn't good enough to be in power and with our people. They wanted people that they could dominate completely, and they knew it couldn't be us. So that's why they worked so hard as of late to make sure we're at the bottom. They know that we are not a people to be enslaved by any people that are, you know, secondary to us. So they have to work overtime. You know, a friend and I were talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma. They work overtime. Work overtime to keep us at a disadvantage as much as possible until we own our most ancient. I'm telling y'all, until you're ready to own all of your greatness, including TaMeri, it's not going to really work out. You got to go to the most ancient ancestors and not have this demonization idea in your mind about them. Now, they took care of the heretic. They did. It's just that heretic forces, they stayed organized. They have 50, 100-year plans because they're nobility. All they do is sit on their ass and figure out how they can control us. But you see, once we know what they're doing and what they're about, where they come from, their origin, as well as our origin, that's how you dismantle that shit. You can't do it when they infiltrate. You can't use, I'm saying we can't use the Maya either. Although the Maya are seemingly not, you know, weren't part of the Mongolian Empire. They were still a people that was secondary to us. We are the first people of America. That's why when they dig up our bones, this fraudulent, foul, funky archaeology, they putting everything out. when you dig up a bone in Africa, do you say it's from Europe? When you dig up a bone in China, are you going to say it's from some other place? You know, I just don't see it happening except in America. The Moors have America like it was just this, again, this place that no one knew about except the Moors. But they didn't, you know, and when they tell others about America, they're tagging it as, again, the New World. Okay? So let me see. Contrary to the claims of New Kingdom scribes, Manetho, Josephus, and even later historians of the 20th century CE, the second intermediate period of Egypt was not a time of chaos and confusion, and the Hyksos did not conquer the whole of Egypt or TaMeri. Their influence extended only as far south, well, they naming lands in Africa, Abydos, and in the region of Lower Egypt, there were many cities like Swa, which maintained their autonomy. The ruling class of the Swa formed the Zwaite dynasty, or the 14th dynasty of Egypt, during the time of the Hyksos, and traded regularly with both them and Thebes. Josephus's account, relying heavily on Manethos, who drew on the kingdom scribes. See, in other words, you can't trust the New Kingdom scribes. They'll drew on the New Kingdom scribes. Gives the impression that the Hyksos rolled into Egypt in their war chariots, laying waste to the land and toppling the legitimate government. Again, there is no evidence for this. Egyptologist and historian Margaret Bunsen explains the Hyksos did enter Egypt, but they did not appear there suddenly. And what Manetho termed a blast of God, the Hyksos entered the Nile region gradually over a series of decades until the Egyptians realized the danger they posed in their midst. Most of the Asiatics came across Egypt's borders for centuries without causing much of a stir. The thing that flashed in my head, and I really don't want to think that way, but I read, excuse me, and please don't get upset, Indigenous. It's still our legacy, okay, no matter what. Okay, I like the way one brother says, even if you put icing on a carrot cake, it's still a carrot cake. That brother, what's his name, Colinago, he be coming up with some stuff. Gotta hand it to him. You know, he's the one that made me aware of the word blessing. Be less. Blissing is much more preferable. And I think be less is interesting because it contrasts with the word more. So you have one making you less, while the traders are being made more of everything, more than their fair share, as I said. So now what was I saying? Forgot what I was saying. Asiatics. Was that it? Yes. I got a flash of insight that perhaps North America is where we had maybe an influx of Asiatics, you know, because depending on, I think South America is the originating place of TaMeri, but it spread into North America. But I read something that said that like North America was seen as where the mixing was happening. And I didn't want to go run with that, but it stuck with me, and I'm seeing how it plays out and trying to, read stuff like this and other things and try to figure out, was that the case? Because it's just, I find it so interesting that Mexico was not politically a part. It's like a Canada. It's not really part of the United States. So I'm thinking, was the United States always, or the area known as the United States, was it always a mixed area, whereas in the lower parts were more full blood? You know what I'm saying? And it was just a flash that I had, because I remember them reading, they saying that part of Egypt was given to Set. Now that Set, as I told you, he's the more malevolent one. So, but the Aztecs were also in South America, so that was Set's people, as they say in that a direct reference to his name is Aztec, or that it has Set in it, or Stek. It's a way of saying Set, as Sutek, or Sutek, as Sutek, just as Sutek, as the malevolent deity. But this video, generally, when I started, I was trying to show that we can't trust the Inca, we can't trust the Aztecs. Those are definitely infiltrated, as well as the Olmecs. That's the other thing we're going to look at. The time frame of the Olmecs, I'm sorry, that's coinciding with the Mongol Empire. It is. It's the 1200s, the 13th century. So, and then when you look at the Olmecs, all they are heads. You can't build a whole narrative just on big heads, okay? And really, that's all it is. Big heads with nothing more, who played sports and was into rubber. There's not really a lot that the Olmecs are giving us, except for big heads. That's all they're giving us. But they start in the 1200s. And I'm seeing, which we didn't get to yet, but I'm jumping ahead. Somehow they're trying to mix them with the Maya. Now I'm saying, I know that the Maya, that's some foreign activity going on. They're not the most purest indigenous Americans, because of the Hyksos. That's what I'm trying to show you here, that the Maya would have been after Hyksos. So that's where the Maya would have gotten their foreigners from. That's the first foreign element to TaMeri, was the Hyksos. And I'm saying that anything that's not Tamarian or breaking off like Maya, but they're still using hieroglyphs, they are close to us. And they did take up our ways, but they are a mixed breed. Shall we leave it at that? The Mayas are a mixed breed because it is the most ancient culture that's being completely ignored. I keep saying it. We are not allowed to be part of the Africa and the Egypt and Africa, so you can just imagine they would never want us to think about America. Africa is already overseas, and they still won't give us that Egypt. So I'm trying to show you the pattern. The pattern is, do not let an American Negro ever think they have any connection to Egypt and Africa or anywhere else. What your enemy is trying to keep you from is that which you must run to and own, because it is yours. That right there, the fact that they put us in Africa but don't want us to be part of North Africa, it says it all. That's why the Moors look rather stupid, because the narrative about North Africa is that that's not where you Negroes come from. And yet the Moors set that narrative in motion, but they figure if they come to us brother to brother, and they can convince us that the white man lying to you, you was part of North Africa too, that we suddenly, oh yay, yay, yay. I don't want none of that. Don't want none of it. You could have all of that. In fact, you could go back there. That would just be wonderful. I would throw you a party, a going away party. I would actually do that. Celebrate with you, dance with you, drink with you. I ain't gonna drink after you, but I'll drink with you. Ain't gonna slip me nothing in my drink. I know how bad y'all want to take me out. And I would send you on your way. You were banished from here, Moors. That's what you were. That's why you hate us. It's gotta be a reason. You don't just hate us for no reason. Well, besides wanting to take our place. But the other thing is, we gave you your walking papers. And you come back and you give us birth certificates, social security cards, all your little commerce sea jurisdiction stuff. So you could have us virtually like we have nothing on this land. And you think you're going to get away with this before the gods? That's why you only want one God? Because you know the Council of Gods already has ruled that you're out of line and you're out of place and you ain't supposed to be ruling over us because you don't rule TaMeri. That was what Heru was fighting for. And all the deities agreed that no, that belongs to Heru. It's his birthright. His father was the real king, not you wicked kings. What good is a king if all he's doing is trying to get rid of the people? What good is it? And tax them and live off of them like he's a freaking what? God? So you are the anti-king. In the legend, Heru's father was the good king who cared about people, who taught people. That's the legend of Heru. That's how it goes. Osar was his father, Isis was his mother, or Aset, and they spread, good in the lands, or brought good where they went. So what we're left with is greed from these other ones. They took the place of the rightful king. That's what their Bible is telling you. In Jakku, he took his brother's birthright, and he's been at odds with him ever since, trying to say that God hates him. I don't think so. Okay, so I feel like I need to jump because now I'm getting a little bit tired. I've been at this for a while, I'm sure. So if we break here, forgive me, this is going pretty long anyway. We will come back to it because we really got to get into this. So yeah, but this is very good to, wait a minute. Okay, so their chief gods were Baal and of Phoenician, Canaanite, Syrian origin, but they identified with Baal. Oh, they identified Baal with the Egyptian Set. So wait a minute. So the Hyksos, they did revere Set. That's the chaos deity. The Hyksos rulers founded the 15th dynasty. So it's 15, 16, 17 dynasty. And then the 18th comes and demonizes them. But after they were expelled, all traces of the Hyksos in Egypt were erased by the conquering Thebans. Only a few Hyksos kings are known by name from the ruins of inscriptions and other writings found at Avaris. and beyond secure. Har Kian. Kamundi, and the best known Apepi or Apepi was also Apophis. Okay, so we read that part. Okay. So that's interesting, right? Oh wait, there's a great serpent. I'm sorry, I should have kept reading. Only a few Hyksos kings are known by name from the ruins of inscriptions and other writings found in Avaris, and beyond Sakur, Har, Kian, Kamundi, and the best known Apepi. Apepi was also known as Apophis. See, that's the great dragon. And interestingly, has an Egyptian name associated with the great serpent Apophis, Apep, enemy of the sun god Ra. Ra's real name is Ra, not Amen Ra. It is possible that this king who allegedly initiated the conflict between Avaris and Thebes was so named by later scribes to associate him with danger and darkness. Okay. Okay, so that talked a little bit about our most ancient dragon deity, who was a huge sky deity known as Apophis or Apep. But they later turned him into Amaru, Kukulkan, Khan, and Quetzalcoatl. On that note, I think I have to stop here because I'm starting to drift. But this is so interesting. I don't know if we'll this is World Encyclopedia. So maybe we'll revisit it. But for now, I'm going to break now and say thank you for listening. Thank you for your time, patience. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sorry to cut it, but I am really tired now. I don't know. I kind of was up late with this. So I just needed to do something, but we do have more things to look at, like we still didn't look at, we'll look at them probably later today, hopefully. I hope to. Okay, so thank you. Wish you peace, goodwill, health, wealth, your land back, your identity back, and all good things. Till next time. Thank you.